we're going to stick with basketball, Rob. And Jeff Teague, God bless his heart, he was on the podcast with Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem, former Miami Heat players. And they were talking about the best duos in the league. Here it is.
Kyrie, Luka, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Joker, Murray, Kevin Durant, D-Book, Tatum and Brown.
Okay. You better
Where up in the Damian
That
Giannis.
was Mike Miller.
I got my top 5. Explain to me who you taking out. That's the whole thing about these
Murray,
top 5.
I'm taking Murray and Jokic up.
The champs?
Yeah. I think Jokic is fire. I think Murray is a great player. Unbelievable. But as a duo, I think this year, not past year, this year, I don't think he's top 5 in a duo.
All right. I think I'm going to, given Jeff Teague the benefit of the doubt, Rob, I'm assuming he's saying like the 2 greatest individual players are so and so and so and so. And if you want to say, well, Jamal Murray's not as good as Kyrie, or Jamal Murray's not as good individually as LeBron, and you got LeBron's teammate, of course, AD. I mean, or not quite as good as Devin Booker. So now you got Kevin Durant and Booker over him. Like, I guess you can that might make sense. But first of all, you can argue, Rob, Murray's as good as any of those guys at this point. Because in the playoffs, the dude is fire. But overall, as a duo, Rob, Denver's not a super team. Aaron Gordon's good. KCP is good. Christian Brown is good. You know, they got some good players, but they're not a super team. So you got to give Jamal Murray some credit as that second guy.
I agree.
And so come on, they have to be on your
right.
list.
I just think that's, again, this is where, and I don't know, Chris, where my issue again with sometimes players who
sometimes.
Yeah, well, but they
all the time.
I know. I got issues, you know that, Chris. But you know this, and I'm not an anti-player guy. You know that. I mean,
No, you work with players.
I work with plenty of guys.
You try to help them, actually.
Exactly. Come on, you know I do. You know I do. But I think this is where sometimes this comes into effect, and where they overlook like certain guys because they're friendlier with others or they know them better. Like the Joker's he's not in those circles, Chris. So it's easy to discount.
Well, I mean, he admitted the Joker's all that. But,
I know, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I just think it's easier to he doesn't care. Where is he from? You know what I mean? Like, but I can't diss my boy or one of the guys who you're more friendly with. That's what I mean by that.
Right.
And so even though you're giving him respect, you're not, because he's so good. And Jamal Murray, you just said it. Dude, the stuff that he's done in the postseason, that doesn't count. Come on, Chris.
No doubt.
That doesn't count.
The dude is bad in the postseason.
You just talked about the Dallas Mavericks, and they've lost 4 in a row, and they didn't make the playoffs last year with those 2 guys together. Really? Chris, really?
That's why I'm saying, you get where I'm saying at the beginning when I was like, okay, I guess he's saying individually, these 2 guys individually, each individual is better. You know what I'm saying? Again, you can argue for Murray, but that's the only justification for what he said. Period. There is no other justification for that comment. Here's what I say about the ex-players, Rob. And this I think is where you and I agree with you when you say, where's the pushback?
That's my biggest issue.
Like Mike Miller, and we didn't continue to play it, Rob.
We didn't hear the whole thing, right? We didn't hear the whole thing.
But Mike should have been, hold up, Duke. Hold up.
Right.
They just won the championship. Murray, I'm going to look his numbers. His numbers in the finals were terrific.
Chris, let me give it to you. Let me give you some numbers. All right, here's it throughout the 2023 NBA playoffs. Murray averaged 26.1 points, 5.7 rebounds, 7.1 assists, Chris, per game. Yeah, the Joker dominated 30 points, 13.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists. Their combined postseason careers, all right, in their postseason combined. They're averaging 51.7 points, Chris, 17 rebounds, 14.2 assists, 50% shooting from the field, 41.4 3-point, 85.9 free throws, and are plus 248 when they're out on the floor. I mean, like, what numbers are better than that?
Rob, in the finals, Murray was 21 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds a game.
Stop. Come on.
I mean, but the pushback, you're right. You got to challenge. That's one thing you don't see as much. Sometimes you see it, but as much from the players. Where you and I disagree, I do think there's a value in what they do in terms of them being in the media now and their podcast. Because, Rob, I will admit, the players have a comfort with one another that for the most part, not in every situation, but for the most part, they don't have with media.
I get that. But
and when you and I went out to write a story, particularly if it was a magazine story like ESPN magazine, I'm trying to get the player in his natural voice, right? I'm trying to make him as comfortable as he can so he can just be himself, and then I can relay that to the reader. Or if I was doing an interview on camera for ESPN or something like that with a player, I wanted them to just be themselves. And you don't always get that when you're media from a player. That's one thing you do get when the players talk with each other. Now, again, there should be the pushback when it's necessary, but that is valuable so the fans can see the players being themselves.
I get that part. I do. But I don't know if they're always genuine and upfront, even with those guys. Like, there's a lot of inside jokes. I'll give you the perfect example, Chris, and just tell me if I'm wrong. You would think that the NBA TV had a thing called Players Only. You remember it was like a group of them in a room, and it was
You mean when they open court? Was it open court?
Open court. All 10.
Yeah. Be about 5 of them.
That show
talking.
got canceled because it was like a lot of inside jokes, not a lot. Like you had Charles Barkley in there, Reggie Miller.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Chris, that should have been a treasure.
I did see some episodes that were good, but yeah, everyone wasn't.
But that should have been a treasure trove. Are you kidding? Like players of that ilk, people should have been flocking. That show got canceled.
But I also think, Rob, that was obviously before the podcast era.
Right.
And the players even then sometimes weren't just being themselves. Sometimes they were. I did see some good ones.
I'm not saying they were all bad. Don't get me. I'm just saying, but that show, how do you cancel that show with star power?
Well, yeah, no, I thought that was good, actually. But, it's interesting. But Jeff Teague, come on. That's ridiculous. They're the defending champions. Off those two guys back. Read the numbers.
All I'm going to say is I would take Cheryl Teague's approach at the best duos in the NBA over Jeff Teague's. That's all. No, Alex, nothing.
I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything about that.
That's not Cheryl Teague.
Alex never heard of Cheryl
Teague. Nobody knows who Cheryl Teague is.
You ever heard of Cheryl Teague, Alex?
Cheryl, you know who that
is?
is?
She was in Charlie's Angels.
No?
I do.
Monty, Cheryl Teague, no?
I think I remember.
That's the
Rob
thing.
G, no?
Why is it funnier when Alex doesn't play a laugh track?
It is funny sometimes.
Because of what I said at Rob's roast.
It's like the pause makes it so much funnier.
Rob's jokes are so unfunny
that they're funny.
But he thinks they're so funny that they actually become funny.
and you know what? It's funny because I'm no lie, on social media I see people go, Alex, nothing? Alex, like that, like they saw you. They go, Alex, nothing? Like if I say something I think I'm funny, they go, Alex, nothing? Okay.